Talofa, and welcome into another episode of the 135 Footy Show, proudly part of the WesWes Network. You can go check us out on all social platforms, as well as on the website, www.weswesnet.com. You'll be able to find us and all our other podcasts. So go check us out. Go check out the rest of the team and the other podcasts, including the Counter Ruck and the host of the Counter Ruck, Stace. Welcome in, Us. How you been, man? Thanks for jumping on.
Yeah, the last minute call up. I know Bob, as a Warriors supporter, he's thrown in the towel. I'm not even wearing my Warriors gear anymore. My Mad Monday clothes. But yeah, thanks for having me on. 2 Warriors guys jumping on when our team's out.
Yeah, I know. Reviewing these teams, we don't care, but we do actually. Like it's man, like it is really a new season. Like this final series, I guess they should do more to promote it as a final series. Well, you look at the teams, like the form teams right now, the Sharks and the Panthers, like just from what you saw, so and probably the Broncos. So it is a whole new comp. Like everything that's happened over these last few weeks, well, half of the year, really, 26 weeks, comes down to these next 4, and we're into it now. Yeah. Before we jump into our awards, just a shout out to those. Sorry about my difficulties. I've sorted it out, but yeah, thanks for those that shouted out in the comments that you guys have had enough of listening to me beatbox. So hopefully I'm coming through nice and clear and you can understand some of my points. I don't think you missed out on much anyway, so that's why I bring the boys on to actually bring some insights and proper stats. We'll come straight to you, Stace. Let's get into our awards. We'll start with the bad stuff. Your Kaea Kele from the weekend. That was.
Yeah. I'm going in a bit some off-field stuff this time around. I think you guys talked about it already. But my Kaea Kele goes to Victor Radley. Yeah, a 10-game ban without pay after being implicated in a drug investigation alongside Brandon Smith there. So while no criminal charges have been laid, I sort of commend the Roosters for acting swiftly, as you think Radley's actions have brought the game into disrepute. So the 10-game ban is quite tough on the Roosters, as he's a gun player on the field. They'll miss his defensive start in the opening round of 2026. But beyond their on-field impact, this incident raises sort of bigger questions about culture, and player welfare, and accountability in the NRL. So I remember when I was on the podcast last time with you, Tons, about a fortnight ago, we spoke about the fine margins between making the playoffs and the teams that missed out, and how some off-field issues sort of stuffed up entire seasons. And this situation with Victor is just another reminder that rugby league isn't just decided on match day. Off-field behaviour matters. So, Victor, come on, brother, sort it out, mate.
That's a nice caller. That's an interesting one, though, because that's a huge... that's not an NRL sanction. That's the Roosters handing down a ban to their own... Because I listened to, maybe it was 360 or the guys on Triple M, but they were talking about, it can't be seen as setting a precedent, because this is like an internal thing, but then I guess for the sake of the game, like the Politis, they're very staunch in what they want. And especially, they lead, they're a big part of what makes the NRL, that voice coming out of, Sydney City. So maybe it does, because you think that's 10 weeks for something that the cops aren't acting on. They haven't finished, or it sounds like they're not going to do anything. The NRL haven't acted on, they don't even know what to do, because I think they're waiting until things shake out. But until that happens, the Roosters have I guess, back what they're saying, how important it is for them to, like you're saying, it's not just decided on the game day, it's the things that they're doing in and around the game as well. Because even Ezra only got 8 weeks, from the NRL. That was the NRL sanctioning him for that accident. And that's way more serious than an actual thing happening, not allegations and kind of people putting the pieces together.
Yeah. But you think about the Roosters, they're a team who have been massively successful, so they know what's important and what's required to win, and having these off-field distractions and all the rest of it can hurt a season, and we spoke about that before. So I think they're trying to stamp as much of it out as they can and make sure that the players are on the right path and doing what they're supposed to be doing, because the Roosters are a team that they try to win it every year. They don't do rebuilds. They don't do any of that. They try to win it all the time. So, I mean, I quite like the stance that they took in the end.
Nice. My Kaea Kele, I'm handing it out to. Actually, I don't know who I should be giving it to, but it goes to the doggies. The doggies with their like, I don't know if it's Kaea Kele or Fia Poko Award, because they were flying. They were good guns, and like everyone says, if it's not broke, don't fix it. But I guess Serrano knew, like, we are a defensive based team, and like, you look at teams that base their play on that. Like, if that's what you guys are, then yeah, just back it, and you'll. And I guess that's where he started looking down the stats and started going, we need points. Yeah, we're the best defensive, and you touched on it, like when he started realizing where they sat an attack. Like, I guess someone's done Moneyball and gone, you need to get your attack on. And yeah, so I'm calling Kaea Kele only because it's backfired. And I listened to some of the, like, just with his press conference and kind of admitting, like, he's never played number 7. And so it's a hard role to learn and to come into. But it's like, but you bought him as a number 7. You paid number 7 money. So you can't start having a sook that he's not a number 7 and it's going to take time. You had a 7. You started changing your season to make this guy a 7. So yeah, I feel Poko Kaea Kele goes to the doggies. Let's get into some good stuff, bro. Your all eyes. I'll go first with my all eyes. I went with and Sharks again. I went Ronaldo last week, but I'm backing them again. But I'm going KL. Iro, he was awesome. And just like a real out and out centre. Like, ever since he's been on the scene for the Sharks, like just his pass, he's been real solid. And like, you notice the drop. Like, they've done okay without him, but man, just both sides. Like, some of his attack, like that. Yeah, just how he got them into positions last week. He's real exciting. So yeah, my my flowers go to Kaea Iro. Your thoughts, bro? I'd like to see him as a Kiwi, but would you be keen to see him play for the Cookies?
No, I would like to see him play for the Kiwis. I don't think the Cookies, they're not quite with Samoa and Tonga in terms of getting their players to all switch allegiances at this point. Anyway, so I feel like he gets in the Kiwis, and I feel that the Kiwis have a chance with him on board. And yeah, I had Kaea Kele in my Isaiah Kalava Cup team, and he was killing it for me before his injury. And then once he left, my team started falling apart not long after that as well. So, man, I know for a fact he's a gun player. So yeah,
nice.
But he sort of epitomizes a lot of these modern players who he's got 2 or 3 allegiances that he could potentially play for. And it does feel like the Kiwis are the team that misses out on a lot of guys, people choosing Origin or representing the Pacific heritage. So
yeah, because I guess KO,
he's another one on that boat.
Brought up over in Oz, so he'd be eligible.
I guess so, because his father was, I'm not sure which one it was, but it was one of those two, and they both played in Sydney-based teams. So I'm not sure if that's how he qualifies, because whichever one of his dad played for the Kiwis. But yeah, I'm pretty sure he's through Australian roots there.
Oh, wow. Oh, nice. Your all eyes also? Yeah,
I'm going to stick with my my off-field theme a little bit there. So my all eyes on me, I'm opting for Darren Lockyer.
Oh.
So, not someone I'd normally pick, but one of the more interesting stories in rugby league this week is the news that Darren Lockyer, he stepped in to lead a major rebuild of the London Broncos in the Super League over in the UK. So there's no doubting Lockyer is one of the all-time greats, and he's a figure synonymous with success. And he's decided to purchase around 90% of the club alongside one of his business partners. Yeah. So I heard him interviewed about it, and his vision is quite clear. Right? He's trying to strip things back, rebuild from the ground up, and put the London Broncos on a sustainable path to success. So that includes focusing on grassroots development, strengthening their junior systems and their programs there, and recruiting strategically to lift standards across the squad. So what makes it quite significant and why I'm giving him the award this week is actually just because of Lockie himself and who he is. So there's not that many players in history that have matched his leadership credentials. 4 premierships he won, countless Origin matches he won to the, which I hated, but just a proven ability to inspire those around him. So his decision to invest his own money, his own time, and more importantly, his own legacy into London Rugby League. It's not just a personal project. It's a huge statement about the game's potential growth in places like London and the UK. Now, there's no doubt this is going to be a longer-term project. And while it might take years to see some results, this is a potential turning point for the London Broncos. And just a reminder for us as well in the podcast that, rugby league reaches beyond Australia, New Zealand, and the Pacific.
Man, that is a huge call out to a great, the Darren Lockyer. Man, that's is it any affiliation? Like it's just Broncos by brand, but it's not actually like a affiliation with.
Well, there used to be an affiliation. They used to send some of the sort of fringe squad members across, the London Broncos would send some of their players over to the development system. That sort of fell apart a bit, and I think he mentioned trying to implement that back again as part of his strategic plan. So, watch the space. Hopefully, he can get it all off the ground and stuff.
Nice call out, right? That's a nice off-field call out for the All Eyes awards. Nice looking out, bro. All right, let's jump straight over to 6. Now becomes 4. The games that were over the weekend, a couple real good ones. Awesome to get the time, because there's so much footy on. Now it's kind of scary because now it's like you get to watch these games, but then in a few weeks it's like, oh hey man, now what do I do with myself?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, having these two and being able to have the time to just go and sit and watch these two was real good. But we're gonna go before we kind of review the games. We'll talk to them, but we'll go and review the seasons. We'll start with the Saturday game, the Raiders, back-to-back sets, minor premiers, and going out in straight sets. Just goes to show how I was nearly going to give them my Kaea Kele, but that's unfair. Like, it just goes to show how hard it is to win a premiership. Like, Ricky's been doing this with the Raiders for a very long time, and man, like the way that they look when they pump the Warriors at home, and just seeing them get up, like that was a hard game. And they looked like they were something special, like just the way they had their systems, how hard they worked as well, like the fitness. Like I remember shouting out at the game, "Get them off! They're tired." It was like the first 10 minutes, and Ricky turned around, anger, say that. It just shows like those are the things he prides the team in, is their fitness, and like so being called out for fitness isn't things that they're so. It just goes to show the seat, like, to win a premiership, like things just have to fall in place. And Ethan Strange not being able to play, like I don't know how much of an impact that had, but even the week before not being able to ice it from Fogarty, that was just these games. But your thoughts on their season, like how they went, how you think they'll go next year, kind of with the roster, and why you think they're gonna go worse or improve?
Yeah, I'm with you that it's bittersweet for them to sort of bow out in straight sets, but I still think they had a really good season. You think at the start of the year they were wooden spoon favourites, so to finish off as minor premiers, that's a testament to the club, Ricky, who you talked about, and their management. So they play quite an exciting brand of footy, and I think they're going to be all right next year because they uncovered some real gems for the future. You think about Ethan Strange. There was that young Tamale on the wing, sort of not really household names at the start of the season, but they look like, massive stars of the future. So I know they'll be disappointed, like you said, knocked out in straight sets. I actually have high hopes for them going forward just because of the youth in their squad. I think that contributed to their demise ultimately, but they will learn a lot from that experience, and I think they can bounce back and go again. Fogarty, he had a pretty average final season, to be fair. Yeah. He did. I actually thought that was going to be a big loss, but now I'm not sure because he might be in that same boat that Sexton's in, which we'll probably touch on a bit later, where he's good but limited, Yeah. And his defence in his final series got found out a little bit. So, sorry, Karen, you want to say something else?
No. Like, yeah, good points. Like, Will Fogarty, like, is he moving on? That was his final like series this time.
He signed with the Seagulls, I believe, to replace Cherry Evans. So he signed a 3-year
right,
deal
yes.
with Manly.
Manly, yeah. But yeah, good call us. Like, like you're saying, the young guys that are there, like, I mean, yeah, Hudson Young, like a lot of names that are pretty much household names that have come up through the Raiders just from their hard work. Smithies as well. Even Nicholson on the other side. Like, I think Hudson, that kind of from last year carried through. But yeah, Nicholson just kind of brought himself up, and he became another try-scoring weapon for them throughout the season. So I agree. I think they go better. Yeah, real unfortunate, like whatever happened. But yeah, Papa gone too. Your thoughts around the Fords? Like, I guess they're losing some experience there.
I think they got him to stay on. Not that I'm aware of. They got Papali'i to stay on one more season. So they got the middles. You think Papali'i, Tapuni, Horsburgh, those middles can set a platform for whatever they're trying to do on the back end of it. So, I'm not sure who's going to take over from Fogarty. I think they've got another young fella, Sanders, I believe. We'll have to double check that name. Maybe someone in the comments can fact check me, but I'm pretty sure they got this young dude, Sanders, coming through on the halves. They've earmarked him as being a long-term half there. So they could have young halves, but with that forward power and that momentum, the halves can build on the back of that. And they've got some good outside backs as well. That right edge, was it the right edge defense? Yes, it was. That both they got carved up in back-to-back weeks, which is where Fogarty defends as well. I have to add, he got exposed quite badly from Reece Walsh 2 weeks ago, and then against the Sharks on the weekend, just gone. So they should be able to hopefully fix that up, because that was their really an Achilles heel for them, and probably why they're watching the final series and watching podcasts like ours and that now. But yeah. I have high hopes for the Raiders. Just because of the youth, they've got some talented youngsters who still haven't reached their peak, and that's exciting for them.
So improving on this year, they get to a GF, they get to a prelim.
I don't know if they're going to improve. It's pretty hard to improve from minor premiers and all the rest of it, but I think they're going to be potentially another top 4 team, or a team that's always in the mix type team. Like the Sharks have been sort of the last 4 or 5 years. They've always been there or thereabouts. I don't know how close they're going to get, because who knows how far these kids are going to grow to if Strange and that's going to be superstars and all the rest of it. But the building blocks are there for sure. Yeah.
Nice.
Well, how do you think they're going to go?
Yeah, I guess they've been building, like I was saying, that's so hard to win a premiership. And you spoke about these windows that they have, as they kind of make their planning. And yeah, I think it was real hard for them, especially because everything looks set for them this year. Like, just the consistency they've had all year, and just being able to overcome a lot of what, in the past would be a 1-point game they'd lose, or a drop goal they'd lose. So they'd found a way to win through those games, but also play a real entertaining Raiders style. So that's the thing. Like, it was a lot of throwback and a lot of, hope that this was the team. So I think they bounced back, but I think it's real hard from the heights. It's almost like the Warriors 23 season that everyone got excited and it kind of faded away. And then last year was almost like hard to bounce back from. So I see the Raiders. I think Ricky's, having the helm a lot longer and having a lot of those guys returning, I think they don't fall back as far. But similar to you, I think they make the 8. I'm not sure about top 4. I think, teams are ready for them, especially after last year. I think teams will prepare better for what the Raiders will bring. But I think they will be a top 8 team. Nice. So the Doggies, making the top 4, they were running first as well. Like I said, they were sitting pretty, and then they needed to change things up, and it just hasn't seemed to click or come right. But they've done what, like, I guess just a very different style of play, like the size of their forwards. Like outside of kick out, like they haven't got those, the big boppers like Noah Blake and that.
Hmm.
But the style of footy they play, that real upbeat and in your face, off the line defense. I guess that's what makes up for their size. Um, yeah, I don't know. Like they just seem to be on a wave, and almost that 23 season of the Warriors, like just it looked like all signs were going good for them. And, the whole Belmore was getting behind them and going back to that praise. Like just some of the scenes from their games, it's always exciting to see the end of a Bulldogs games because those fans are so crazy. So a hard one for them. Like just shows how much again, like just how hard it is to win one, but also with key players out. Like the Raiders saw it. They had consistency, then started getting these injuries in key positions, and the same with the Doggies. Like Critter is so critical to that team, just as a leader, but also as a talented player in that team. Yeah, I don't know. Like the scoreline, they probably pulled it back last week, but that was nearing on embarrassing. Like the Panthers got to probably their best game all season finally. But, yeah, I don't know if there was just the Doggies made them look even better because that just. Yeah, it was hard to watch for the Doggies or any person watching that. You're not even a Doggies fan. Um, but yeah, your reflections on their season.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to know. Like, you got to give them a pass. Like second week of the playoffs, a lot of teams would take that and all the rest of it. But we spoke about it, and you touched on it in the start of the podcast. Those spine changes, Sexton and Marnie out on the outs, and then Galvin and Hayward in. In hindsight, that was probably a mistake, even though we mentioned at the time that could potentially derail their season. But you're right. See, because if you say that Serraldo or whatever, if he says, hey, look, Sexton, he isn't the 7 that's going to win us the comp, that's fine. But signing Galvin, it doesn't fix that because he's a 6. So,
Yeah.
you drop your halfback when you're top of the table, disrupt the spine, unsettle the team chemistry and all the continuity to pick another guy who isn't even a halfback. And I suppose if we talk about the Raiders, what does their future like? To me, this could have longer reaching issues because they've got rid of Sexton and saying he's not the halfback to win it. And, they derailed their season. They still, in my opinion, they don't have a premiership caliber halfback. They've got 2 5'8" now in Galvin and Burden. So unless there's some magical signing that I haven't heard of or whatever, I think that they might slip down. Because I worry about the mixture of the team now with 2 5'8" in there. It hasn't worked and it didn't work. So I actually think that they potentially derailed their season without fixing their problems, which is the issue that I've got.
So they're keeping Sexton? So they're keeping him on?
Nah, he's leaving. He's signed for
okay.
Catalans in the Super League next year, which is weird because, man, there's so many lack of halfbacks in the NRL.
Yeah,
he's not elite, but he's better than some of the other ones that are running around that I've seen. So,
it's
just interesting how that's going to unfold with 2 6s.
Yeah. The 2 6s being Galvin and Burden? Or
Yeah. So there's no 7. There's really two running 5'8". So I'm just not sure how that's going to work. So like I said, you change it because you don't think you got the right halfback. Now you've got no halfback. You've got two 5'8". So I've got questions about that. But a top 4 finish, second week of the playoffs. I think that they'll take that at the start of the season as a pass. So I'll give them a pass. But shaky. But I'm interested to see how that unfolds in the preseason and how they manage that aspect of it all. So I still think they need a halfback still, even if they didn't think Sexton was the one.
Nice review, bro. Yeah. I don't try and pretend like I understand the difference with the 5'8" and the house, but yeah, like I guess they always talk about, like Matty Johns and them talk about, these good running 5'8" that you can mold into a half, but that takes time. And so yeah, these, like, it seems to be a thing happening though, like Romy going over to Tigers for them to convert to be the same thing. And so maybe that's where these coaches see they can potentially mold them into a 7. But yeah, you're right. Like just without a genuine out and out seven and trying to mold them, like without the time makes it real hard. Or it's kind of an indication to maybe the fan base that it's. I guess how do you do that? Like I guess this is the thing. Like you know that you're trying to do something, but without telling people that it may not be this year, because you know that how hard that kind of like it. Like you look at the Knights, like what O'Brien, like Adam O'Brien was trying to do there. Like didn't have a genuine half, then tried to do these experiments with Ponga, and it takes time. And so as a fan, you kind of look and trust it. But now look where they are. So yeah, I guess there's kind of some stuff like that as a fan. Like you back the coach, or when it's like, yeah, I don't know. Like where does I guess because it's easy to talk about other teams, but for us, like the RTS conversation at fullback, are you settled with that? Are you happy with Chance there?
I'm not.
No. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
No.
And so it's one of those things like it's you know that you've got a player who's the best in that position, yet you're trying to mold them to do something else, and you kind of trust the coach as a fan of that club that they're gonna figure it out as the coach. But it is a bit of a just feels feel pokoi when it's like, bro, give it up. But you try your experiment, but it's not working. So, yeah, like with the Roger thing, I think that's a general thing. Like the fact that we'll touch on that actually after these. But any more comments on the doggies season, like what you were saying? Like, I don't know. Yeah, like you're saying, maybe there's something we haven't heard. Maybe there's a DCE little.
Well, they got this young halfback in I forgot his name, but he hasn't played NRL yet, but apparently he's a gun. So again, it's going to be a big ask, a young teenager to come in who's a genuine halfback. And they went for Haywood, and I sort of brought this up last time I came on with Crossland. I think Haywood is creative as a hooker. We didn't see much of it, and his defense needs a lot of work. He misses a lot of tackles, but if he can be creative from 9, then that can take the pressure off the organising at the halves. And they don't really have an organising half, which is the issue. So if they can get an organising 9, they can use more running halves. So it could work. But Haywood is still a long way away from being that guy. And that's the issue. They've got 2 young guys, and they got rid of 2 experienced guys.
Yeah.
So
well, you'd think Marnie would be like
this could be a 5-year plan. Another one of Gus's 5-year plans, because it's going to take a while. It's going to take a while to get this to work. I'm not saying it's not going to work, but I'd be surprised if they can turn it around so fast to be ready by next year. I reckon maybe 2027 we might be something, but to derail this year when they were coming first and potentially next year, I'm not convinced that it was the right call.
Nice. Well, we'll have to wait till next year to see what happens with the doggies. Before we jump into the previews of the penultimate round of the NRL season for 25, some awards out at the moment. Everyone having their Mad Mondays, getting into some celebrations. If you're not there at the final table, the Warriors did their prize giving the other night. Some notable mentions to walk away. So both Player of the Year awards for the senior teams and the NRLW. Uppy and RTS got the flowers there. That was a pretty cool one for Roger to get the Player of the Year award. Your thoughts around both?
Yeah, I thought Roger, he definitely had a good year. I'm going to give him credit there. I think we might be on the same page about who we thought the Player of the Year was. But Roger had an outstanding year. I think he was close. But to me, Aaron Clark was the one. And Rog missed a lot of games through injury as well, has to be said, with his hamstrings. I think he played 19 games, which isn't, it's still a lot. But you know, I thought that Aaron Clark was the main man through the middle there. And his improvement from what he was doing at the Titans.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't convinced he was the guy. You think about who Tohu Harris was for us. And that was massive shoes for him to try and fill that. And to his credit, he did a great job. He showed, I think he grew up playing in the halves, and he played a little bit of hooker as well at the Titans. He definitely got some ball playing in him. And he's quite a good, he's got that leg speed, a different body type to the normal middles as well. So he's always had that potential. You got to give him credit for that. And we're just seeing him realize it now. But to me, Aaron Clark was the Player of the Year for the Warriors. Roger was probably close second. I'll give it to him. So I don't think was completely out of left field that Roger won it. But yeah, I would have given it to Aaron Clark. What are your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, very similar. Like I thought RTS, like I think just as a leader, like him being on the field more than his like near the back end of the season, you started to see more Roger, getting the ball and doing Roger stuff. Like early in the season, I think it was just his leadership. Like he was doing like just kind of carries you wouldn't want from Roger. Like he wouldn't have lasted the season. Like some of the games you'd see him bruised up, his face was wasted, like he had a fight. Yeah, so at the beginning, like I think that's probably why he got it. Like just getting the guys on his back, the reason he came back, and I think that was a lot of that. Like things didn't seem to be going right and for the boys, and he carried a lot. It just looked hard because that was what concern for me is that he couldn't carry on playing like that. So it looked like things changed up, but he looked like he enjoyed the back end of the season, having a bit more space and freedom. Looked like his body was hanging in there a bit more too. So I don't know how much longer we got Roger. I think we got him locked in for next year. So yeah, I think that's probably more the players, choices is that respect they have for Roger. But you're right. Like I thought Aaron, played well above what everyone thought he'd bring. I thought he was coming as a hooker, maybe to just back up and kind of do some of that ball play in the middle to help. And then they kind of brought him in as third team, especially with very similar players. They got Jazz leaving, but then Dylan Walker was still there, so that was a real big gamble because at the time it was like, well, we knew what we were getting from Walker, and he had kind of done a job for us there. So it felt like a gamble to let go of Walker and put all our eggs in the Aaron Clark basket, but it paid off. He really paid back the coach, and a lot of the Warriors faithful. I think we, especially to replace someone for him. Uppy Nichols, you catch much of the NRLW games? Just their performance.
I caught a couple. Yeah, she's a gun for us. All effort. She epitomizes the Warriors, what they stand for and all the rest of it. Just a lot of heart and all the rest of it. I was okay with her getting it again. Similar to Rog, they had the centre there, Taki Moana, that I saw in the limited games I watched. She is another rugby union convert. She played for the Hurricanes women's last year, and she was a beast as well. She's, I think she was second or first equal in the try-scoring stakes. Just a lot of running meters, ability to beat a defender one-on-one as well. Got that leg drive. So I thought that she was the player of the year. But yeah, I can understand Nichols as well. Like Roger, I can understand how they both got it. Because they do typify what the Warriors stand for, both of them. So yeah, I was happy with that. Did you have any thoughts on that one?
Yeah, no, I think for the same reason. I think that especially for the girls to get back in the season, I think they needed a strong leader like Uppy. Especially the first match of girls that they brought in, like MMA fighters, just a whole raft of ex-union girls. So I think doing what they needed to just bring some eyes to the game and get the girls back in the comp. And I think maybe a couple of 3 games they kind of picked up. But we watched that Eels game, so it was awesome. We were over in Samoa watching them. I think that's where they picked up their first win. So that was fun to just watch and just get to watch where the NRLW competition is, and it's amazing just seeing the talent these girls have, and just how fast the game is now, like just what it used to be and where it's at for the girls. It's amazing the product they're putting out. So well done to Uppy and to the NRLW for that competition as well. Some other noticeable mentions. We just called out Aaron Clark, so he got called in as the RLPA 13. So that's a huge call for him, across all of the NRL, especially coming from the RLPA. That's players vote there. So that's, I guess, respect. Like I think, that shows like as much as the Warriors saw it. A lot of other players and teams saw an Aaron Clark rejuvenated the Warriors, and we reaped the benefits. So that was a cool one. Leka picked up People's Choice and Rookie. I don't know if they've done the NRL Awards yet. They do it at the end?
Nah, they haven't done it yet. I'm not sure when they do it, but not yet. But yeah, I was all right with Leka. He's a crowd favourite, so I'm not surprised he picked up People's Choice. Definitely Rookie of the Year, I think so. for sure in our team there. So he's got the potential to be one of our best ever forwards or best ever players. You think of what he's doing at this age. If he can have good luck with injuries, keep his head focused on what his jobs are, and keep working hard, the sky's the limit for the kid. And, I think we're sort of going off on a bit of a tangent again, but I remember when we lost Adam Fanor-Blake and we got James Fisher-Harris, and I thought Adam was a better player, and he probably is. He's showing it. He's a better front rower. But just that mana, and that leadership that you get from Fisher-Harris, you can see him instilling a lot of that into these young guys. So Lekker's come on leaps and bounds. Dimitrik as well. Some of these other young forwards, they'll get a lot out of work playing alongside this guy. So we will see the benefits of signing Fisher-Harris 3-4 years down the track when these guys are the new leaders, and they're the guys who are the experienced guys, and they've followed in Fisher-Harris's footsteps. So exciting times ahead for the Warriors.
Yeah.
You get two Warriors guys on this podcast, and the topic's quickly changed into what we're doing.
We'll always pull it back there. Nice. Was nice call out. Like just for Fish, I guess that was one that didn't get any awards, but you're right. Like very different. What he brings, like we saw, we'll touch on it when we get into these two games. What Blake brings to a forward pack, very different energy, very powerful energy. Through his actions. So I think that mana that Fish carries is going to instill this for these boys for a long time. Like especially a lot of our, the Kiwi boys, that seems to be kind of where you see this potential like Lekker, and that's just, things seem to distract them, whereas having guys like Fish around them, I think helps them, especially, Fish being around a long time. Like that's one thing is to be a great player and you're a spark for a couple of seasons. So being someone like Fish and understanding what it takes to be in the game for a long period, to, manage yourself and manage your body as well as your abilities as well. So I think that's, like you're saying, it'll pay dividends. And that's a great segue away from the topics while we talk about the Warriors. So good work, mate. Let's get into these two games. The Storm and the Broncos having a rest. Awesome stuff. So for the counter ruck, like you said, man, you guys get to have a game on a Saturday where we don't have a crossover of the league. So this weekend is going to be awesome, and we don't have to wait till Saturday as well. So it's kicking off on Friday over at Amy Park. The Storm have had the rest, and they take on an informed Sharks. Like I was saying, like this final series, they look like the team who I like their energy. This whole angry because no one takes them serious seems to work. Like feeding their energy, like just playing this whole. We're angry at everyone. We don't care. We're not going to worry about penalties. We're just going to win the game ourselves. So it's working. I like it. Your thoughts on this game?
Yeah. It's a different take, and an interesting tactic these guys are employing. Because if you look at them, they haven't actually won anything, to be fair. And I know that, if they lose, everyone's going to be on them. You guys talked it up, blah, blah, blah. So, it's quite interesting. But in a way, they're right, because we talked about this on a couple of weeks ago. Not much love for the Sharks. That first week, everyone was loving the Roosters. And you listen to the experts about who the contenders were. It was Canberra and Brisbane, and maybe the Panthers can sneak in. The Roosters are in good form, and the Broncos are doing this and all the rest of it. And no one said anything about the Sharks, and yet here they are. More higher rated teams are eliminated, and they're still running around. So you've got to give them credit for that, eh? So this game, we're talking about Storm Sharks, eh? Is that what we're talking about still?
Yeah. Yeah, Storm Sharks.
Yeah, it's this is going to be a tough match. Probably two tough matches, actually. I think the Sharks have won 9 of their past 10. So that's probably why they're feeling a bit slighted as well. So they're in really good form.
Yeah.
The Storm had the week off, so they've effectively had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. And more importantly, they gave them a chance to get over some niggling injuries to get some crucial guys back. So Hughes is back, Pappenhausen's back. Really looking forward to that contest at the the hookers. You talked about the RLPA team of the year, but briefly, and I mentioned in the chat, I actually thought Blake Brayley was the one, the hooker of the year.
Yeah.
Harry Grant got it. So you were talking about two of the best all year. So whoever can get their game going, they're both pivotal to their teams. They could decide the match. And I like Grant's. He's got that all-round game. He's got great play, probably the best hooker in the game, to be fair. And so he's been a standout. You look at Brayley, he's been instrumental in the Sharks' attack. Just looking at some of his numbers, over 1,000 tackles for the year, 16 try assists. So he's been in the thick of everything that's working well for the Sharks. But just for me, the Storm do have that history and the pedigree in the final series. So just them playing at home, Hughes returning, Pappenhausen back. I'm going to pick the Storm in a close one. And the Sharks should be proud of the season that they've had if they get eliminated now. So I'm going to go Storm. Just what are your thoughts? Who are you going for?
I'm going with the Sharks. I'm not convinced by that Storm performance the week, like when they got their rest. They got lucky with the Critter injury, but they looked like they were struggling to close that out. And I don't even know about Jerome Hughes. It's like I don't know if that's some trickery. He broke his arm. He broke his arm. He's got a shoulder injury. That's Craig Bellamy witchery there. I don't know what that is. That's Eyez. So I feel like it's a bit of mind games. I think Peasant comes back in because I don't know if it's huge if he is. Then again, these forwards like Toby Rudolph's been on fire, and then Blake is just that just accelerate, makes it even more impressive what Fanua Blake can do. So I think we probably didn't really kind of notice the injury to Rudolph being away because Golfusi was doing so much. But just that rotation and switching him out, he's been huge for them. So just those two big bodies. Uto Kamanu, he's been good. Like he's been a gun, like kind of using his body, kind of just under Bellamy. He seems to know what he needs to do. I guess that Bellamy, that frame they have for the Storm is very just rigid, just the robots almost. Like you don't have that finesse of a Fanua Blake. A little bit of offload from, especially the bench. I think that's where the Sharks might pit them. Like just guys like Iwele and Talakai, just bringing an offload, just bringing something a bit different. I don't know, Kamika has kind of dropped off a little bit too, so I'm picking
I've never rated him. I've never rated Kamika.
He's just one of those big bodies. I thought it was just Bellamy was going to be able to make something of him. Like, he's just one of those guys. He's just big, no real kind of just a big body, give him the ball. So he's kind of like just never really clicked into what he wants him to be. Elikator, second season there, so he's kind of very much understands his role there, and he's just excelled under Bellamy. And I think Katoa showed that he knows how to kind of extinguish that high ball. Like Ronaldo will be fine. KL's there to help him, but Katoa, he showed his prowess against Daniel Tupou, being able to kind of nullify that attacking that they're probably going to be putting up and following. Because I don't know, like it seems like that's their go-to when they're out of ideas now. So that's anything I'm kind of not enjoying about watching the Stormers. They'll try and run these plays, and when they run out, they just kick it to Coates. So I'm pipping a Sharks win, and I hope they do too. I want to see one of these teams from the bottom of the eight make it in to the GF. This is going to be a good one. Awesome game for Friday as well. I don't know. Heartbreak more for the Sharks or Melbourne?
I think Melbourne. They lost like their grand final last year, and they picked up Utu Kamanu, and they kept most of their squad. So in theory, they've got a stronger team than the team that just lost that grand final last year. So I think, and you think about their history, I think they've made. I saw a stat on social media. This is like their 10th or 10th preliminary final in 11 years. So there was only 1 year, I think 2000, I can't remember what year it was, where they got eliminated in the second week of the finals. Outside of that,
Oh,
they've made it 10 of the last 11 years, they've get to the final four. So they have this consistency about it. And it's sort of like, I remember when, you're going to take it back to the Warriors, in 2023, when we finished in the top four and we got eliminated in this round, preliminary final. And our Warriors fans are ecstatic. And the Melbourne fans also got eliminated in this week. They were pissed off, eh? They were unhappy with their season. And I'm like, man, just the contrast between a team that's always up there and a team like ours who were just happy to get that far. So I feel like they're going to be a bit more gutted about it. They expect to get to this point all the time. So
Nice. Yeah, I think it will be heartbreak for the Storm. There's just been so many games this year that haven't been Storm-like, and I think that's what I don't see them being clutch this year. Like, there's just been so many games like that. And just seeing Bellamy's reaction, like he's in a press conference with no idea, like what the hell happened, like who that people, like, he's been there going, I don't know who was out there playing. So, yeah,
that's a good point, because I remember like when they had the big three with Slater and all the rest of it, if you played Melbourne at night, this is when they were wrestling and grinding out their wins, they were unbeatable. The slippery ball meant you just had to tuck it under your arm and play it close, and Melbourne couldn't be beat. But this sort of style of Melbourne, where they're trying to play these beautiful moves, and Pappenhausen's doing his stuff, they're doing side steps and all sorts of carry on that they don't normally, which is a step away from who they've traditionally been. They're like almost like a daytime football team now, not the traditional night style. So that might be a factor, that the Friday night game doesn't suit modern Melbourne anymore. So we'll see how that plays out.
Insights. Nice insight. Yeah. All right. We haven't got the Usos on here, but this is the game both Tama and Sai probably should have been on for. Their teams, both potentially knocking each other out. But this is a huge one. I don't know if many people didn't. I don't know if because people knew the way the rosters would kind of align, but not many people had this as a GF. Like, it'd probably be up there if it was. I don't know if people just kind of looked at how the draw went and knew that they'd face each other before it got there. But yeah, 23 replay of the grand final. The Panthers, firstly, actually, we'll go to the Broncos, because I guess it's been a while since we watched them. The last time we saw them, they look amazing like that. So, like, I think the week before against, I think it was just their normal end of the round, but it was against, I don't know who it was. They looked impressive then, like they finally clicked, but that was without Reynolds. And it wasn't like Walsh was diamonds all night that game. I can't remember who it was, but it was before Canberra. And so Canberra coming to that game, I thought he had played his final already. But they gutsed it out, especially when Walsh came back on. A lot of ins, a lot of changes to this team. The Broncos boys seem confident. It just doesn't, like, throughout the season, again, when you look at the results, it hasn't really clicked. Like, there's always been those games where it's rocks and diamonds, because either Reynolds doesn't give Walsh enough ball, or Walsh just overplays, and it seems to be, because there's been injuries, it seems either when Walsh has returned or when Reynolds has returned, it just seems like a huge risk for me. Like, I know the boys are wanting to back their team. Yeah, like we've said, it's such a hard thing to win a premiership, and these are the kind of shakeups and changes that are really, like, Billy Walters has been all of a sudden amazing. Like, he looks like an out and out genuine 5'8". Like, he's been okay in glimpses, but yeah, these last couple of weeks when he's been there, you kind of thought, this will work. Him and Ben Hunt, they just do their parts, like little bits of brilliance here and there, but Reece will do the rest. And yeah, I don't know if these are going to kill them, especially I think that's a huge out there everyone's ignoring, the Carrigan one. Like, I think the boys understand it and are hoping that, Xavier and others can kind of fill in that space, but I don't know. I guess from the brilliance we saw from Walsh, maybe one guy can do it. But it's different doing it against Canberra and then doing it against the Panthers. Your thoughts on the Broncos, how they do it in this team?
Yeah, it's going to be tough. Broncos won their last 5 in a row. So they're in good form as well, similar to what the Sharks when I mentioned them as well. But you're right. That's that whole halves combination is quite interesting because you talk about how great Walsh has been. He's been great since Hunt was playing in the halfback. It feels like Hunt just says, whatever you want to do, you go do it. And he just unleashes Walsh. Whereas
I just don't want any pressure on me.
Reynolds is like, you know what, no. We're going to kick the corners and do the rest of it. And you'll get the ball in certain positions. And I feel like maybe Walsh is sort of like, I'm only going to get a handful of opportunities here, so maybe I'm going to need to pull something out the bag. And that's where he starts forcing it when it's not necessarily on. And that's where some of the rocks come in with the diamonds as well. So that's going to be interesting because for whatever reason, Hunt has helped to unleash the best of Walsh. So when you get Reynolds back in, how does that all play out? I agree with you about the 2 guys that are missing. Those are big losses because I would have given this a 50-50 coin flip. But Carrigan, he's a world-class middle. And I've been critical of Walters in the past, but he's been instrumental in that 5-game win streak. So if those 2 were playing, I might look at this game a little bit differently with the Broncos at home. Those are big, big, big losses, I will say. And you think, if I looked at that Panthers game last week, they were outstanding. But where the Bulldogs got a bit of luck was when Galvin would run it to the line and he was hit playing short or playing out the back to Preston. So that left edge of Penrith is a little bit shaky.
Yeah,
that's Blaze Talangi. Yeah, Blaze Talangi. That young Kiwi guy in the centres. That Panther centre there. So there's some youngsters there, and I wonder if that could be a place that Penrith can attack, that the Broncos can attack. Instead of doing those sweeping plays to the left that they did on the Raiders, if they come to the right, maybe Staggs or I'm not sure who's that right edge back row there, might be able to get some damage there because that left edge of the Panthers is the weak side defensively. So, yeah, it's going to be a 50-50 for sure. But, the Broncos, they've got a shout. I remember being on a pod maybe 2-3 months ago when they were inconsistent and thinking that, not sure whether they had it or not. To their credit, they've fixed a lot of their issues, But just those losses.
The Panthers, man, I don't know if Cleary's unlocked the secret to NRL. You just do whatever you want in the first 12 weeks and then start playing in the background. Doesn't matter the first 12 weeks. Even the way he was so casual about it, people were writing him off, people were having a laugh, and I don't know if they were struggling or if it was just the way he was just planning their season. If it went their way, it went their way. But just real good signs of what I saw from that game last week and the timing for them to start clicking. Cleary, just that swag. I thought they lost a lot of that when Romy went, but just when he scored that try and just the way he celebrated, that was awesome. Kind of if you're a Panthers fan, but just seeing what this team's like just seeing that attitude and that he had it within himself to pull that out. And he's kind of been on and off with a few injuries. Him backing himself to take that try, that first one in the corner, that was good signs from To'o. Early in the season, he's been bundled out or try he'd pull off a good little chip kick or he does enough to do it, but just seeing him back himself, that was real good signs for To'o. You haven't seen it all season. Casey's come on, you mentioned, maybe a little deficiencies there with him and Blaze. So I think those two will be working hard. I think they know that Blaze is a smaller body. McLean's slight for a centre too. He's quite lanky, but that could be a target. Running those holes like you said through the. I don't know if that'll be Yakura or maybe Ricky running that channel. So I think they'll work on that. They know it in themselves, but just a real scary prospect. How they've adjusted things. Like Lindsay Smith, become a name again. Like he's like, when Fish went, we were wondering, oh, there's that guy Lindsay's been kind of coming in. Like he's become solid. Like I guess kind of outside of Liam Martin, they all don't. They're not trying to do too much. They're just doing the hard yards. They do what they need to do. And the doggies, try to do what the Warriors did. They try to get in their face, try to get them to, try and play quick and drive them back. So the Warriors did that a lot better to stop the ball. And it's almost like Panthers saw that and figured it out. Like you saw them getting those quick tip-ons and finding a way with those backdoor balls because they were getting that same in-your-face defense. So it's scary. Like the prospects of this team. Well, yeah. When people were saying it'll be scary if they do it 3 times, then 4 times, and here they are again on the doorstep of potentially getting to another GF outside of the top 4 as well. So I don't know, like 6 years running now. Ivan Cleary still, I think maybe the first year he got Coach of the Year. Outside of that, he hasn't got any flowers for the hard work he's done. Yeah, that's a hard one. Like, yeah, the Panthers overall, like your thoughts, if they get past this, is that kind of, it goes a long way? Like, is this probably one of the biggest challenges this team for them?
Yeah, I think so. Like, I mean, you got to give them credit for getting this far. But, I don't mean, it's hard for me to say because I'm a Warriors fan. But if you had to pick a team to play in week 1 of the finals, you'd probably pick the Warriors. We'd lost 5 of our last 7 before that game, and we were in the top 4, and we just fell out. We were just holding on into the top 8. So we were shocking heading into those playoffs. So you probably want to play us, and the Panthers got us. Then, who would you want to play in week 2? Now you talk about the Bulldogs. They lost Critter, who's their captain, their best player. They were also pretty average. Their form was average. They were tinkering with their spine too much. They think you would probably play them. So they've gotten this far. They've probably played their way into form, to be fair. So you got to give them that credit. But I think they've had the easier-ish run to this point. In saying that, I thought the Panthers, that performance against the Bulldogs, that's the best team performance we've seen in the playoffs so far. The way they dismantled the Dogs last week. So, yeah, I think they've played their way in. I mean, I wonder what the odds would have been because there was a period, I think, round 11, round 12, where they were coming dead last.
Yeah.
So to get here, should have trusted their pedigree. And you think to yourself, I mean, what's the motivation? Like we've talked about this before. When you win 1, you're like, sweet. You go back to back. Well, what's the motivation to keep getting up? Maybe Ivan Cleary's like, oh, we'll come last at the halfway and then try and win it from here, eh?
Yeah.
See if we can do it
different ways. Yeah.
But you're right. They'll be them or the Sharks potentially could be the first team in NRL history to win it from outside the top 4. So there's that's a motivating factor for a team that's won 4 in a row. And, I heard the stat, this is a Sunday afternoon game, so we talked about that Melbourne game, the night footy and what that could represent. This is a daytime game. I mean, I heard this weird stat that Nathan Cleary, he hasn't lost a day game since 2019. So you think that these day games, you think they would favour the Broncos with their high-powered attack and their fast guys with Reece Walsh and all the rest of it. They'd want to play in the day where it's easier to catch and pass and run, and all the rest of it. But just that stat is it's crazy. Their attack is really underrated.
Never lost since 2019 a day game.
Nah, 6 years he hasn't lost a game during the daytime. I mean, and we saw that last week against the Bulldogs. They were just on a different level during the day. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know who that favours, to be fair, given what the Broncos can do. Like I was mentioning that the Panthers' attack is a bit underrated for that reason. They put a lot of emphasis on their defence, which gets a lot of credit. That's why they've won all their titles. But their attack in the daytime, you think about Yo's ball playing and Cleary's game, obviously. They've got the all-round game, so Yeah, it's going to be a good game. We talk about the Bronx. Those two guys out. That's going to sway it. That's swaying it for me. Carrigan out and Billy Walters out. If those two played, I picked the Bronx at home. But those two out, there's a big losses. And on the other side, the Penrith got no injuries. That 17, that's their best 17 that they can pick in their whole squad. So, that finals pedigree. I have to see someone beat Penrith now before I can stop picking them. They just keep doing it. I have to see someone physically in the dynasty before I say that it's over. So I'm going to go Penrith in a close one.
I probably am going the same way. Your thoughts on both of these teams? Who would they prefer to play out of those other teams? Between the Storm and the Sharks right now, who would they?
I think I've heard this old saying: you gotta lose one to win one. I'm not sure how accurate that is. You got to lose a grand final to win a grand final, but it was true for the Panthers. They had to lose that one to Melbourne before they went on their streak. I'm going to say it's going to be true for the Bronx too. They would have got so much out of that loss in 2023, as much as that would have hurt them. And then you think Melbourne, they lost last year as well, so they've got that in them. I think the Sharks, they don't. They have not been at this till grand final for a long time, and they could get overwhelmed. It's quite a tough week, and we've seen the pressure. We saw the Bronx, in my opinion, 2023. As great as Nathan Cleary was, they should have closed that game out, and that's the pressure of grand final week. It does strange things. We've seen composed people lose it in those last minutes. So I think that they'd rather play the Sharks just because they haven't been on that big stage for a long time.
Nice.
Oh, what are your thoughts? Who do you think? Talk us through your thoughts.
Yeah, I think either of these teams probably fancy themselves against the Sharks. And that's probably why I want the Sharks to get up. I think that attitude, the reason why they're acting like that, probably sets a good scene, good tone, because I think this in itself, I think this is it's a grand final replay, so I think these teams will have everything to play. Just off that last point, though, to lose one, to win one, yeah, I think Madge can bring that out in them, just that hunger. And it hasn't really been mentioned, Madge for Coach of the Year. He's taken this team and I guess a team that on paper everyone's expected to do well, and so to bring them back here, like Kiwi did it from wooden spoon to get them back into a premiership chance, and Madge has done the same, kind of picked them up again and brought them here. So I think, better say this so Simon doesn't have a cry and wants to listen, but I think the Broncos can get up for this. Just the emotion, just that knowing what happened, it's gonna I guess that's the poke. They don't, as much as they're a positive team and they want to play their style. I think that pain, they can't. When we asked last time, who do you think hurts more from this? It's not Madge's second time, but a lot of these boys, Ezra, may not even get the chance to be on the field for this. So I think a lot of these guys were there. Sharks. Yeah, I'm gonna go Bronx on heart, but those two outs are huge. So hopefully the boys can pick it up for Paddy and Walters, because I think those are the glaring holes that the Panthers exploit. If they can't do it, surely Madge gets a look in for Coach of the Year, because bringing them this far. Hopefully you guys can do it.
Yeah, just a good point on Madge as well, because you think 2023 he coached the Kiwis. They won 30-0 that grand final, that Four Nations Cup, or whatever it was. 2024, he comes from behind to win that Origin series for New South Wales as the coach. So if he can do something amazing here 2025, that's a pretty impressive resume over the last 3 years that he'd have. So, yeah, I'll give him a shout for Coach of the Year as well, for sure. And just on that, you're right. How the hell, if the Panthers somehow pull this off and they win 5 in a row, and Cleary hasn't won Coach of the Year any of those 5 years, that is a travesty, man. Surely.
Man, these are a couple of good games. Like it's good that we can still get excited about these teams who are not our teams. That's how, yeah, I guess that just reflects how good the footy's been this season. All the best to these teams. Sorry, they also couldn't make it on. Hopefully, we'll have him back next week. Hopefully, he has a game to review and one that he's excited to preview. Any last words from you? Also, thanks for jumping on, man.
Nah, no worries. Also, not much to say. Yeah, it's been a long and arduous season so far. You know, we've talked about two teams that have been eliminated, Dogs and the Raiders. But we still have two teams from outside the top four in the running, which just goes to show, you know, in a competition where anyone can beat anyone, getting to the back end of the season in good form and with some good luck with injuries can potentially carry you further than, say, you know, winning the minor premiership or being the best team all year. And again, that sort of speaks to the fine margins between carrying on in the competition or bowing out early. So, yeah, like you said, we're down to the final four. You can make a legitimate argument for any of those four teams to win it, and you can make an equally compelling argument for why any of those four teams are going to get eliminated this week. So that makes for, you know, must-see viewing for the playoffs and the next two games, and just speaks to the great game that is, you know, rugby league.
Nice. Well, thanks for jumping on. Look forward to your potty next week. Your thoughts, any sneak preview, your insights into the ABs after their horrendous loss in Wellington? You see them holding on to that record at Eden Park?
They better, because we're running out of things to hold on to. We lost the Women's World Cup. We've lost that now. We've lost the Freedom Cup that was with the New Zealand and South Africa trophy. We've lost so much stuff, the Under-20s World Cup. So we need to keep the Bledisloe Cup, and we need to keep our Eden Park streak alive. And then maybe the coach can keep his job. Otherwise, he could be on the chopping block as well. But yeah, it's going to be a fascinating game. Jesus.
We'll look forward to hearing more from you, Joey, and the boys on the Counteract podcast. Fafite, thanks everyone for tuning in. Thanks to those that shouted out. Hopefully my mic comes through nice and clear this time. You can catch us on the website and all social media, WesWes Network. Fafite, we'll catch you next week. Charles.